Not quite censorship like in the Empire, but certainly media manipulation. We're not gonna not tell you to ask questions. That's fine. We're just not gonna tell you the truth.
Well, we covered this before, back when he originally got his double promotion. He had that guy assigned to him very specifically about what to talk to the media about. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Stoneface Reactions. I'm Theta, this is Lessons, and we are back with another arc of Legend of the Galactic Heroes Gaiden. We just got done with the 6th battle of...
What's a battle? Tell us.
No, you lean forwards, you go for it.
I didn't lean forward. You just listened to what you're saying. Go ahead.
You saw me pause for half a second. You spotted weakness in like a hyena ready to pounce on some dying prey.
Jesus.
You're like, what is it? Go for it, Lessons. Tell us what it is.
No, you tell us. You were like saying, and then you stopped. And I'm like, what are you stopping for?
Because I forgot for a second. But like you said, you want to lean in on it. Go for it.
The Battle of Esselorn.
I'll be honest, I was a bit thrown by this arc's 3rd battle of Tiamat. So Tiamat came into my head. So, yeah. I guess we have just a giant note section between the two of us. So there's not really any point like doing some sort of breakdown of what's happened so far, other than we'll get into that in the notes. So let's go ahead and hop on over to the board real quick, as we always have, so I can give a good old rundown of the changes made there. Because I got the board change log, where I added LaSalle Lobos, Dwight Greenhill, William Holland, Ramsey Warts, and Andrew Falk. Sorry, not Falk. Fork. I connected Alex Kezern to William Holland with a green line. Connected William Holland to Andrew Fork and LaSalle Lobos with a green line. Connected Dwight Greenhill to LaSalle Lobos with a green line, and Frederica Greenhill with a blue line. Connected Ramsey Warts to Malcolm Wideborn with a green line. Added a second Reinhardt to the board for additional line spacing. Connected Ramsey Warts and Malcolm Wideborn to Reinhardt with a red line. Marked Warts and Wideborn as dead. Connected Yang with a green line to Dwight Greenhill. Connected Lundberg to Muckenberger with a green line. Marked a red arrow from Elizabeth to Eric, her brother, and then marked Eric von Hartenberg as dead. Marked Lundberg as dead. Added Oliver Poplin, Ivan Konev, Warren Hughes, and Sale Aziz Sheikley, and tied them together with a green line. Added Oscar von Rutendahl, Willibad Wilhelm von Merkatz, and Wolfgang Mittenmeyer. Added Fritz Joseph Bittenfield and Eugen, tied them together with a green line, and connected Bittenfield to Reinhardt with a green line.
Now, I see that you have Commander Ulrich Kessler unconnected to anyone. Would that be a green line to Reinhardt?
I am now noticing I have 2 Kesslers. Which one are you looking at?
Kessler. I'll get Commander Kessler, but it should be Captain Kessler, I think.
Do a search.
Control F, I think.
Yeah, it's always Control F, Lessons.
Commander Ulrich Kessler, that's the only one that appears.
No, just type Kess. It's like K-E-S.
Yeah, you have 2 of them.
That's what I'm saying. So it must be the old one down here as Commander who's not connected to anybody, because that must be from the investigation arc at the school, where we never got to meet him, but he was like a name in a book. And then I must have added him again once we actually met him. So I'll just delete that guy. Yeah, it would have to be, because Steger down here was the, not the principal, whatever. He was at the school, and all these kids here are the school kids, so that has to be why he's down there.
Well, then that was my only observation.
Your only observation had absolutely nothing to do with anything I had to say.
So I guess we go on to notes then. There's a lot of them, so I'll start. 100 billion stars, 100 billion lights. Truth is a daughter of time. A reminder that in spite of everything, Reinhard is only 18 and still capable of acting like a brat from time to time.
So I'm just doing a little bit of math. No, he's 20.
Oh, he's still 18.
No, he's 20.
Nope, he's 18.
He's 20 lessons.
The last time we talked about
no,
him,
never mind. You're right. Sorry. You're right. You can stop. So the problem is that I have future dates on my calendar because of things they mentioned is going to happen in the future. And I was looking back, and he's born 776, right? I say right as I do now. You don't have a calendar in front of you like I do. Well, that's what I was saying. I was doing the math, but I did the math wrong because I based it on a future date. I forgot that it was 794 right now. I was looking at my 796, and I'm like, well, 776 minus 796, or 796 minus 776 would be 20, so he'd be 20. And it's like, no, wait, that's not the year we're in. We're in 794. What threw me off is I have so many notes for 796 2 years from now that it's throwing me off. Because that's when Reinhard becomes an admiral, according to Golden Wings. The first recorded use of cephal particles. Lundberg promoted to rear admiral? Wait, what?
Right.
No, I mean, that's an error. Sorry, this is an actual error. I must have added those, and that must have been supposed to be somewhere in 794. Let me just scroll up real quick and... Shit. You know what's funny? Scrolling up now, I can see that in my notes for May of 794, I literally have an entire section labeled Reinhard, age 18. That's when we're May 15th, Reinhard and Kerchase return to Odin. Reinhard promoted to Rear Admiral at age 18, the youngest Rear Admiral in the history of the Empire. It's funny. I guess I'll put this in November, because I can't remember. And then Martin Buffholtz dies of malnutrition in an internment camp in 796. Like I said, my notes about the future have thrown me off to what year it is. First world time traveler problems. What was your point again?
I remind that in spite of everything, Reinhard is only 18 and still capable of acting like a brat from time to time.
Yeah, they said that. The back and forth between Kerchase and Reinhard.
You're a child. They like to say in the anime.
Well, that's his name, so yes, they would say that.
Yeah. To your note then.
Reinhard comments that both sides are so obsessed with Iserlohn Fortress that they needlessly restrict their options because of it. I know I disagreed with it during the reaction, but I just felt like it should be pointed out again how there are only two paths by which to traverse to the other side of the galaxy. The Iserlohn Corridor and through Fezzen. Clearly, as a third party, Fezzen is itself just another possible battleground, should you consider it a path to go through. The issue there being it's a commercial hub for outside goods into the Empire, so doing anything negative there could harm the Empire financially. Additionally, any military show there could turn them against the Empire and ally them with the Alliance, which would be worse. Obviously, the same thing applies to the Alliance trying anything as well. So Iserlohn is the obvious vector by which the other side doesn't gain any inherent advantage by you messing up. The presence of the station in the corridor thus also makes it a target of interest that cannot be ignored. You cannot take the corridor without taking the fortress, and you cannot perform operations beyond it without being cut off, again without taking it. At the very least, Yang, in his own discussion, suggests not having to get past Iserlohn at all to defeat the Empire. Granted, he doesn't elaborate any, but at least it suggests that there is a plan somewhere.
Well, I think it's more than that. I think the problem is that tactical and strategic, especially tactical thinking, strategic thinking, gets ossified because everybody thinking this is the only thing we can do. Nobody's thinking of other ways of doing it. So they both settled on one side. We defend and always use the sword hammer. The other side is like, we got to destroy the Thor hammer to get past. So nobody's thinking outside the box. And we're, aside from the corridor thing, we're not really sure if there's any other way to think outside the box, but both Reinhardt and Yang are considering it, right? And so perhaps there is a way of thinking outside the box that we haven't been presented yet.
The problem is that we have a glut of information, and no information presented to us suggests that there is a way. It's the problem they often come up to when playing tabletop games, is that we don't, as people controlling the characters, don't live in the world. So we can't come up with ideas that the characters may think are simple, right? That there could be something glaringly obvious to us, to Reinhardt and Gang as characters in the world, as to how to get around this whole situation. But to us from the outside, who lack... the problem is also, we're ignorant of the things that we're ignorant about, so...
And the narrator doesn't even tell us, who is willing to tell us almost everything about everything. Doesn't say anything, so even the narrator fails there. Now for the next point. Also, the sense of scale in this anime is something to behold. Reinhardt only commands 1,000 ships, can't do much to affect overall strategic position. He's right about Isolon. As long as both sides fight over it, they are locked in a deadly stalemate, one which neither side has the capability to break.
I mean, I have other notes about the whole fortress vis-a-vis corridor situation, but nothing that really touches on... I mean, I don't know.
Oh, to your next note then.
So Thor's hammer has many maximum range firing distances depending on how wide the beam will be. So the larger the target, the shorter the range. Conversely, it can snipe out pretty far with a thinner beam.
Yeah, it makes sense. We're talking about effective range as opposed to total range. Because effectively, the particle beam is a gigantic particle beam, should just go on forever. But the dispersal of the beam in concentration means that it will not do enough damage to be effective beyond a certain area. So firing it is a waste of time.
I mean, even particle beams dissipate over time. So
yeah,
not,
they might
not
cause
an
some
infinite
damage,
range.
Yeah. Next point. I will say that Reinhardt did well to thank Kessler for his help while maintaining his position that he would have totally won that fist fight if given a chance. Of course.
I mean, that was my argument with you.
Yeah.
That Lundberg would have kicked his ass, and you were arguing for Reinhardt for some reason.
I think Reinhardt would have held us on. I mean, He has been in fights before.
No, he wouldn't. You can tell because my voice went high-pitched.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm scrolling down here. I know I have a note about it. Say what you will, but Lundberg didn't even cry out in pain at getting his arm cut off and his chest ripped open. But even still, he kept coherent thoughts and verbally expressed them. Ain't no way Reinhardt was going to beat this guy in fisticuffs.
I have a note about that, but I'll wait to get into it.
Oh, no, yeah, like I said, I had to scroll down that. But just, you're addressing the fact you went back to the party, and it's like, no way. Lundberg, look, if Lundberg has height, reach, skill, Reinhardt sucks at just shooting competitions.
Okay, the alliance plan was not a bad one. The problem with it is that it's more of a raid rather than a true attack plan. So he had no provisions for failure or even success, since no forces were assigned to either cover the retreat or the missile destroyers or exploit their success.
Well, apparently they did. Apparently they did have a metric for success.
Yeah, blow up the station.
No,
with a lot of missiles.
Yeah, no, I was like, you're making me.
I'm not talking about a metric of success. I'm talking about properly supporting that attack in a way that it could be continued.
It is alarming that the narrator says that the Alliance attack would be considered a success if they retreated at that moment. By what metric would they have achieved success? It seems like the death count is about even for both sides. This is when I'm writing the note, by the way, not by the end. They haven't gained any ground or anything. Was it that they damaged the fortress? This is a lot of effort for just a drop of blood, and hardly what I'd consider a success worthy of accolades. Like the narrator is suggesting, anyway. I guess what's being implied of the Imperial side, too, that since so few died, in their opinion, that they can push forwards with an assault of their own, that they're basing any potential campaign on acceptable losses and not specifically on any gains that they might achieve.
Which makes sense because this war has been going on for 150 years, so pretty much a stalemate.
Well, I have another note later about the length of time and what seems to be being shown to us.
My next note. Did Yang make a dick joke about the D line?
No, but I did.
Next note then.
They name dropped a commander by the name of Andrew Fork, someone we've never seen before, graduated the military academy as valedictorian of the year after Dusty Attenborough got out. They also proposed a similar idea to the one William Holland brought, apparently. This is just a note about the fact that they're introducing character names of people we have never seen before, which seems to me to usually imply someone down the road in the main show will be this guy.
Yeah. Next note. And we see that Yang's thinking matches Reinhard's earlier thoughts about Iserlohn.
Yeah, I said that. I guess they consider Cerberus to be MIA. Alex says they don't know where he is. We know that he's been captured. Better than Gundam Seed, I guess, where everyone that's missing gets called out as killed in action.
I mean, I think we were also discussing why that was a problem. It's like, well, this is a major logistical base. All the logistics were threaded through there, including the handling of the logistics. So losing that base actually was a big deal.
I don't think so.
I think it does.
No, I mean, I think it's more so that guy was a major officer in the military in charge of supply. I don't think that base was specifically important because that base was relegating the supplies of one specific battle. I think that guy was actually way more important than was led on in the previous battle. Because now Alex is doing that guy's job, and presumably that guy would have been on the ship doing what Alex was doing.
Or simply it could have been doing it in the base itself. I mean, with
I think you'd want your guy to be in the position to know what's needed, not be getting... You don't want to send your reports from this fleet action back somewhere that is... I don't know, it doesn't make sense logistically to me to have that kind of downtime between messages instead of your message coming directly from where the need is.
Yeah, but I believe that base was where a lot of the fleet supplies were being stored or would have been routed through. So again,
I mean, I disagree, but I don't see any point in a long argument about it.
Anyway, of course, the German theme empire would use a Gothic font. Yet, according to Wikipedia, it was discontinued in Germany by the little mustachio corporal.
You're saying World War One,
World War II, or before the interwar period.
Well, no, you're obviously... Look, I don't know why you're not saying Hitler, but you're implying Hitler, and he was a corporal in World War One. He was kind of moved his way up by in World War II.
Yeah, but they still call him, derisively, they used to call him the little corporal, even in the German army, during World War II. This happened in the 1930s, according to Wikipedia.
So we got a new location we never heard of, new Sensushi.
Yeah, okay.
Where you go to forget a bunch of women.
Yes, so. Von Schenkopf's plan is a bold one. Let's see if it works out.
So no elaboration at all.
No, because there's further notes.
Remember, you and me just rewatched the episodes.
Yeah.
Dear viewer, might not have any idea what the fuck you're talking about.
He is the commander of the regiment, the Marine or Army regiment. Yeah, the Ritter.
Oh, you're so close. It's not Ritter. It's written. And that's half the word.
Okay, whoever they are, they happen to be people who were defectors from the Empire who joined the alliance, and he has a plan to call out Ludenberg to finally kill him.
Lundberg.
Whatever.
You get one name wrong and you're fucked for the rest. So Malcolm Weinborn finally makes his way back to the scene. He got added to the board early as an enemy of Yang's back in the academy. Now he's out fighting Reinhardt like a grown-up. Unfortunately, he died just as quickly as he was reintroduced.
Oops.
Well, remember he was supposed to be that, 1 in 10 genius or something like that.
And Yang basically just outfought him in the simulation.
He was beating people at the academy. That's the one where Yang does the whole, I take out your supply line, and the computer accepts that as a win.
It was. Talking about Yang. Damn, good for nothing Yang. That's a hell of a reputation.
I mean, I imagine it could come into play as a... You know, the way, in My Hero Academia, Deku just kind of accepts the name Deku despite its negative meaning.
Yeah.
Good for nothing. Well, nothing is better than a loss. Kind of the way I was making fun of him as being, the retreat expert, because that's what they're pulling him in for. He was good at the retreat at Alpha Seal. Maybe we'll pull him in here so we can give us our retreat here, too.
I mean, an ordered retreat in the face of the enemy is a very difficult maneuver to pull off.
Right. I'm just saying that from a bunch of people who were, in the last 3 episodes, we keep saying, oh, this entire plan could be ruined if one of them tries to go for glory, that kind of thing. All of these people are out to get glory for themselves. So a bunch of people who are out for glory are not going to be wanting to do a retreat. So they're going to see the guy in command of the retreat as a negative to them.
Next point, then.
I suppose clarification needs to happen on how much space exists around Iserlohn Fortress that ships can maneuver in. By that, I mean it's clear that the corridor extends to and from both sides of the galaxy, but how wide is that corridor? If Thor's hammer has a maximum firing range, then is the corridor thin enough that the Alliance fleet can't just go around the fortress without engaging with it? Or is it that untraversable region of space close enough around where the fortress is that if a fleet tried to skirt around Iserlohn, it would just enter into it? Otherwise, it would seem like the Imperial fleet could just hang back behind Iserlohn and force the Alliance ships to approach the fortress and otherwise have no fleet battle whatsoever.
I think it's okay because I know that the whole thing about Iserlohn is the Thor's hammer, but there's another aspect of fortifications and why they're important. It's a safe place to sally forth and attack your enemies. So it might well be that you can attempt to bypass Iserlohn, okay, but then the fleets in Iserlohn could cut your retreat and isolate you on the other side and crush you, or they could raid your supply lines or move forward if you put too much force in front of you without any sufficient defenses to back you up.
My only thing is to think that that's not incorrect. It's obviously not incorrect. To think that that's not a factor here is that we never see any Alliance raiding parties. If you could just rush past Iserlohn without engaging any defense fleets, why don't we ever see that or hear that? So it must seem to imply that you can't get around Iserlohn without coming within range of it.
I mean, you could have a raiding party, but the problem with raiding parties, as we see we shall see soon enough in these notes, it's that it can easily be cut off behind enemy lines and destroyed. So,
Yeah, but I'm saying you don't hear about it at all. You think over hundreds of years of this war, there wouldn't be notice of some raiding party? It's another Alliance raiding party. Also, not for nothing, this is such a giant fucking scale that I have to imagine. You could have some raiding parties that are just constantly raiding plans for food and supplies and everything, and just constant, right? Yep. You would want those raiding parties to happen so that they would have to take forces from the front line to then try and defend their back territories.
But then again, it might fall onto that, rigid thinking of, because there's a lot of other stuff. It's also the psychology of the battle, right? How people think about what they're doing defines how they do it. So it might think like, no, if we don't, raiding parties might not do enough damage. They might not have enough forces. So, although, later on we prove that is not exactly
I
true.
mean, if you're going to go into the psychology of it, again, what we just talked about, these are glory hunters. You'd think these people would want to be in those raiding parties.
Yeah, but maybe their superiors don't want them to rein them in. It's like, we don't want to risk it.
I'm just
What
saying,
happens,
I think the absence of it implies that there's something else going on with the corridor and the distance between the edge of it and where Iserlon sits within it.
So my next note. So had the Alliance brass not held back ships to execute Yang's plan, the show would have been over before it even started.
What do you mean?
They would probably have captured or killed Reinhard.
What do you mean?
Because remember that Reinhard went into the attack. Yang gives.
Oh, that's the part you mean.
Plan.
Okay.
Yeah.
You weren't elaborating. Again, you're writing these as though we just got done the episode. We watched 3 episodes back to back. People might not know what the fuck you're talking about the same way that I'm confused.
No.
We watched a number of fleet actions. So
yeah.
I don't know if the show would be over. The show would certainly go in a different direction, though.
I mean,
you don't think the whole captured Reinhardt and Kerchase wouldn't have its own storyline?
I mean, no. I mean, it would be very difficult to write yourself like, oh, they would be captured. Then either they would have to be paroled or escape from Alliance space.
Well, no, actually, we know what happens. God, what the fuck was his name?
Yeah, they get stuck behind the,
No, old guy. What's his name?
Yeah, they get stuck in that prison forever.
No, they don't. They wouldn't go to that prison. That prison wasn't for nobility, which Reinhardt technically is one as an Imperial Knight.
Oh, there was nobility there.
No, well, I mean, there was the one guy, but you remember from Kristoff's early conversations was the majority of the nobles, the aristocrats rather, that got captured, got sent back home in prisoner exchanges pretty early. So the asshole aristocrat that we saw was the one that no one was willing to trade for. And otherwise, it's mostly like the lowly soldiers and whatnot that were at that prison. So yeah, I think it would be pretty quick that Reinhardt would get traded back because obviously, given who his sister is, no one's going to be willing to let him. Probably going to trade him back as fast as fucking possible in the hopes that maybe no one will notice.
That is if he doesn't get killed, though.
Right. But this is clearly an encirclement, so. Which is kind of funny because the other encirclement fucking failed. They tried to encircle Reinhardt first, and then it fails, and then to encircle him later with Yang's plan, and it fucking fails.
Because they didn't give.
To be fair, you're throwing it out there like they didn't give him enough ships. They gave him 1/3 of the fleet.
But he said so himself, and the commander was like, yeah, we should have given more. Don't be stingy. Like, yeah.
To be fair, I think if they've given him as many ships as they think that they wanted to give him, they would have just lost the entire fleet because they would have captured Reinhardt using all of their ships. They used 1/3 of their ships to take on 1,000 ships. Remember, they had like 36,000 ships here, and they gave him 10,000 to try and capture Reinhardt. They used 10,000 ships to try and capture 1,000 ships.
That's not even 1/10 of the fleet.
And remember, what do you mean?
300,000 versus 10,000?
No, I didn't say 300,000. I said 36,000. They had 36,000. No. The Alliance has 36,000 ships. And they tried to use 10,000 of that, which is about a third, and to capture 1,000 ships. By the way, remember, they said before that 2,000 ships was barely even to be noticed when Reinhardt comes circling in from the side. 2,000 ships, that's not even enough to force us to retreat. What are we all freaking out about? And yet you were going to use 1/3 of your fleet to take them out before. Like I said, it seems insanity to pivot 1/3 of your fleet to take on less I mean, it's such a small percentage of the Imperial fleet.
Yeah, well, yes and no, because one way of taking on a larger force is to, take bites out of it. And this would be a bite, you
No,
kill
it'd be
1,000 ships.
completely
Yeah,
different if we're talking like small picket fleets or whatnot to what we saw before in previous fights, right? Like, oh god, we're not Scissor. We're what's his name? The supply officer that got captured. Whatever the battle that was, I can't remember.
Cerebrin or something.
Yeah, where we saw all these smaller fleets all separated out and doing their own actions against a wider spectrum, and other fleets moving out to other theaters to have their own individual fights, and that's what causes everything to come forming in. That sort of thing. I have a note about it later. Actually, I think it's my next to next note. But I mean, I don't disagree with you on that aspect. But this is literally taking a third of your fleet out to tag on a very, very small portion of the Imperial fleet.
Your next note, then.
Reinhard started with 1,000 ships, lost 30 in some engagements, then 1/3 in a massive battle, the one we were just talking about. The next time we see him, he says that he has 2,200 ships. So his command gets doubled without so much as the narrator bringing it up.
I mean, yeah, he would have rebuilt his command and then some, so.
I don't know why.
I mean, he was successful before.
Was he?
Well, up to the point that nearly got captured, but he was pulling some good maneuvers before. That's why he was like, "Oh, we need to destroy this guy. He's the smartest. We can't have this guy be."
Muckenberger isn't mentioned, or specifically is mentioned to have only noticed Reinhardt when Reinhardt sends him a message about cutting off their retreat. So, Command hasn't noticed all these great things he's doing.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, it's weird that he gets doubled in fleet size, or he gets refilled and then doubled in fleet size with nothing. Like, it just happens because Reinhardt says it did.
Well, the narrator.
No, it's not the narrator. That's my point. The narrator doesn't bring it up at all. Reinhardt tells Kerchase, I have 2,200 ships. He goes from 1,000, and then he's telling Kerchase, I can take my 2,200 ships and do this. The narrator never mentions it.
Talk about things that I did mention before, but I think that they're worth repeating. 644 light seconds is over 6 times the distance between the Earth and the Moon. Space is big.
I wonder. No. Don't think I do.
About 100,000 kilometers, so it's 600, just nearly 700,000 kilometers, give or take.
Yeah, nope. Unfortunately, I do not. Sorry, I've literally done this math before. I did it in thesis, though. Literally, they were talking about the space between a battle happening. I'm not giving spoilers away. They did the space between a battle happening, talking about in light seconds and everything like that. So I was giving the scale of the battle by doing the math. So I've done this before in previous Legend of the Galactic Heroes stuff. How distant the ships must be. I think it was covering how fast the ships must be to cover the distance between how vast the space battle must actually be by the same token measure.
Also, they talk about later on that the overall space squared was several eiyuu, like 6 or 7 eiyuu, I think it was. And eiyuu is the distance between Earth and the Sun, which is about 8 minutes, light minutes, give or take. So, yeah, it's a huge chunk of space. Well, compared to the rest of the galaxy, clearly it's tiny, but,
It really feels like the failure of fleet combat in this show is that it's essentially Revolutionary War level tactics. The entire fleet moves in one direction because the enemy fleet moves the same way. That way, the most firepower is always aimed back and forth. Thus, when the Alliance sends out a portion of its fleet to attack some other area, it's a brilliant maneuver. Then when Reinhardt comes flying in from the side to attack a fleet 15 times larger than his, no one's prepared for it. You'd think that the Alliance fleet, especially considering that their plan was to hang back to lure the Empire in, would be formed up in some sort of bent trident shape, with its center fleet facing forwards and its sides facing outwards to protect the center from getting ambushed from either direction. Hell, add a top and bottom subfleet because space is three-dimensional as well. Reinhardt's brilliance really should never have been a thing here. This doesn't feel like the result of hundreds of years of war. This feels like we just got out in space last week and are still figuring out how to kill each other in it.
I mean, yeah, we even have like pointless fighter battles that the fighters themselves don't seem to do any significant point in it. Oh, we have fighters, and
I mean, just more
cool.
so the element of maneuvering in fleet formations. It still feels like we're figuring out stuff that we've already figured out in water. Oh, we mean everyone's facing this way and most ships don't have side guns or anything? Well, we'll cross the T. This guy's fucking brilliant. Like, what?
Yeah.
This would already be a thing.
Okay, moving on for me to the next episode. 100 billion stars, 100 billion lights, the sixth battle of Iserlohn. Yeah, it only took 5 battles of Iserlohn to figure out the effective range of the Thor's hammer.
Not really. They even mentioned it in that episode that they had figured it out in the 5th battle of Iserlohn. And we saw that too. It's just that it got all fucked up because the Imperials fired on their own ships because they were intermingled and they're like, fuck it, we're going to lose if we don't do this. I know I said 1 as though there was a number 2, and it's like, really, that's really the whole thing. They did figure out the distance. They tried this plan back then, but then it got all fucked up when I think it was Glory Hunters in that one too. People rushed in to try and achieve glory.
Oops. Problem with big man history is that everybody wants to be the big man.
So Eric disclosed Carl's drug trafficking to Carl's brother, a character we haven't heard of before, but an accomplice of Eric's. Just seems interesting in case we ever meet another character named Fulgen.
Yeah, I have a note about that, but I'll talk about it a little later. Talk about Reinhard, not Reinhard. Reinhard.
Reinhard is my new young teen romance novel. Way to spoil it.
I guess it's not cockiness if you can back up your words.
2 things. 1, I think that was your literal first note that you did when we started this. I think literally if you go back when we started the note section, that was your first note. So you have a second note that's exactly the same as your first note.
No, mine was about how he was still a brat from time to time.
Yeah, I think you could have tied these 2 together. 2, Reinhard is obviously about the Native American code talkers from World War II. And it's he gets injured during the war and then he finds love in a nurse. It's kind of a reverse Florence Nightingale thing going on. Mm-mm. Sorry, I was distracted the entire note you had. I was thinking, maybe Reinhard. I think I can do this.
Yeah.
When it comes to Eric, the fact that he pushed Lundberg on his sister as a means of keeping her mentally active through hate, and that Lundberg just went along with it, and that it is his explanation for being that dick that he was, that Elizabeth would have just been comatose without that hate, I guess, is a thing. Clearly his last thoughts were about her, so it wasn't nothing for him. Also, it all clearly didn't work out, as her being active only resulted in a murder. It's very much the psychological drama version of Awakenings, I guess. Sorry, I think I meant to throw in a reverse. Or anyway. At the end of the day, it's just so convoluted of a story, I don't find that I have many strong feelings about it one way or another. When I thought it was just Lundberg being a creep, that was easy to hate. Now I can only imagine him as a mirror universe Patch Adams.
It's dumb. That's what it is. It's kind of dumb.
Well, I mean,
It's
I get the idea.
plausible within the universe that we're living in because nobility and all that, so it makes sense in that they would position themselves and act in these ways due to the social conventions that they find themselves in. But it's still dumb.
I mean, I get the element that she shuts down after her husband dies, and
Beyonce,
yeah, whatever, and she needs motivation to keep going, but it's like the worst motivation.
yeah.
But then again, like that's why I likened it to Awakenings. Everybody in Awakenings has like the one thing that gets them moving again. And I guess this was the one thing, which is the worst thing, but it's the only thing we found. Because I don't think that her brother would be objectively the worst person ever. But maybe he found the one thing and he just kept going with it, even though it was a horrible thing. Again, it's the element that when Lundberg dies, he's like, go on, do whatever the fuck you want. Like, he's talking about her. So it's like his last thoughts are about her. So it's like maybe there was something really there. But at the same time, he's also like very dismissive in the end. Like, do whatever the fuck you want. So it's like, I don't know.
It could have been helped. A psychiatrist or psychologist would have helped a lot.
I don't think that those exist.
Not apparently on the side of the Empire.
Probably anybody who would be in that field has been hired by the Thought Police.
Yeah. As expected, without reserves or backup, the missile destroyers could neither capitalize on their success or parry Reinhard's counterattack, which is something I said earlier. Now we see how the plan
that
works.
Brilliant maneuver of crossing the T.
Yeah. Or simply being a reserve, waiting there to catch anybody who crosses the line from an oblique angle. Like, oh, we're here. Now let's kill these motherfuckers.
I think the problem is with reserves is that you've sent too many forces that become more obvious, and then forces will be sent to counter them. They only had the benefit of apparently sneaking into position. That we are being introduced to fighter craft at this point, it must be that there are relatively few dedicated carriers in each fleet. That or it might be a limitation of the animation medium of the era. But you'd figure the space around all of these ships would be a swarm of activity. We're talking tens of thousands of ships on either side. It's remarkable that the number of fighters don't confuse the stars in the background. Really, these battles are so massive in scale that each Battle of Iserlon should make the Death Star fights seem like just a skirmish.
I mean, if we go by by Star Destroyer, or Battlestar rules, and every ship should have every ship of a certain size should have a continuity of fighters. They will launch, defend, and attack. You could conceivably group your fighters to attack specific ships to open up your ground, right? Because apparently they can punch through the defenses because they're so small, right? But it's just there to sort of, oh, hey, we're doing this thing. Fighters make more sense in support of ground troops, which we don't see.
I mean, it seems like the fighters should be like the ultimate here. We saw when Lundberg went to assault the Rittenhausen that the ship's weapons can't even stop a boarding pod, which has to be so low maneuverability compared to a fighter.
But they should be doing, unless their weapons are not powerful enough to really damage a ship. But then why have them in the first place, right?
I don't see any reason to think that, though.
We don't actually see them hitting any ships other than each other.
Right, but I don't see any reason why they think they would be any weaker than any other weapon.
I mean, the size. I mean, the weapon themselves might not be able to punch this and against a larger target.
But if it's a weapon of some sort, and it's a weapon of some sort, and if it's on a platform that you can't hit, then eventually you might find a weak point in any ship. Shoot them up the engines. That always seems to be a weak point. Ships adrift become problems for other ships in the area. We've already seen plenty of ships crash into one another when they've been fully mobile.
Yeah. What's my next point? Um, Now it seems that the problem with the Empire is that they decided to break ranks and launch attacks on their own, which would appear to be giving him, Reinhard, the support he needed, but in fact he needed them to stay in position to make the trap work. But yeah.
Yeah, as per the glory hunting that I said before. Apparently, the 6th Battle of Iserlon was a real who's who of commanders under 30. Yet, and I imagine only due to the fact that there are so many people in these engagements, even the narrator has to point out that there are old men performing well too.
I mean, yeah. I think it's also, and I would expect that, again, over 150 years, you would have this sort of turning of the wheel, right? The new generation coming up and being the new commanders, and that shape the next decade or so of fighting, right? Or 2 decades of fighting, right? And so pointing out that people under 30 coming up the ranks, like Reinhard, and people older than him, who are in their late 20s and early 30s, they're the ones who would be part of that cadre, I suppose.
I would argue, as per my, it seems like everybody is just learning how space battle works thing, the successful commanders don't tell anybody anything. That's why it feels like everybody's constantly learning how fighting in space works. The successful commanders are keeping all of their tricks to themselves and aren't teaching anybody. That shit's not going to the academy. That shit's staying with them.
Because we know we opened the series with the Empire actually taking over a planet from the Alliance, which was El Facil, right? And we later learn on that there was a chance that instead of being the fortress of Iceland, it could have been the fortress that the Alliance could have built in the same corridor. So they're the ones who, but instead those ships were basically making more ships instead of making the fortress, right? So Iserlon itself is a relatively new phenomenon. We don't really get glimpses of, except for the loss of El Facil, of how the war was going before that. So, you know,
I mean, presumably it was a stalemate then. I mean, we've only, again, as you indicated, we've only heard them taking one planet. By the way, I was thrown because I thought you were going to address my funny little point, but you were going off on your own tangent. As like, let me tell you a bit more about Reinhardt and how he finds his way back to the States, because he has to find the woman that he fell in love with back in, I'm going to say France, why not? Anyway, no, sorry. Obviously, I can tell you roundabouts when Isolorn was built. I think I'd have it here, but I don't. Got to be sometime around Bruce Ashby's becoming leader of the thing, because he's the one that proposes they build a giant fleet.
Yeah.
730 Mafia, so sometime after 730. So I'm going to say somewhere around 738 or 742. Yeah, no, 745. I'm going to say somewhere around 745 because that's where Second Battle of Tiamat happens, and I have assumed that's the battle where Bruce Ashby convinced everybody to make a giant fleet instead of a station. So it has to be somewhere around there, which is, 50 years ago? Yeah, around 50 years ago. So Iserlon was built around 50 years ago.
My next note, it's me. Actually, yeah, was I answering your note or you were talking about?
Well, technically, no, you weren't answering my note, but that was my note. You came up with your own damn thing after my note.
I mean, threatening your superior like that should lead you to an immediate arrest and court-martial, but I guess in anime, that is not a thing. That's when Ritter House? They go like, yeah, no, we're going to keep doing this. Like, you shouldn't have done that. Well, we have axes and shotguns that say, and energy weapons say otherwise. And they go, oh, and they ran off the room. Like,
well, I mean, we have no idea who the fuck that was.
Still threatening any officer like that, or even if it's a junior officer, sure to get you arrested.
Weren't. I mean, you're implying that they were. And the same thing would be on them to prove that they were.
I think they were
they were holding their weapons. They were holding their weapons, which is, by the way, their tools of the trade, and just literally saying shit that can be taken as menacingly, but maybe it isn't. Again, it's up to them to prove it. If you're going to be a pussy-ass bitch, feel threatened by me who's just talking, that's on you, man. Maybe you're not made for the combat. Maybe we need to reevaluate what you're doing here.
Yeah, no, I think that should get you court-martialed.
Well, might find yourself with an axe to the head then, because these are also, defectors, and nobody really likes them. And maybe this one decides to go fucking crazy because you were a pussy-ass bitch.
Yes, we know which your side you're on. Go ahead.
Well, clearly I'm on the Empire side. So, also a pussy-ass bitch, the name of my new porn novel? Sequel to Reinhardt?
Oh, it got really spicy, huh?
Sorry, it's all automatically on the front cover. It's gotta be pretty spicy, huh? Lessons learned. 2025.
Your next point, then.
It's kind of funny that after Reinhardt sends his plan to Muckenberger, and then Muckenberger sends back the, if you think you can do it, we'll send you ample supply to try, that the Alliance warning is that an Imperial fleet of 2,200 to 2,500 ships is on its way. 2,200 is the number of ships we last heard Reinhardt had, so either Muckenberger sent no additional ships, or the 2,500 figure was correct, and they were bolstered by a mere 300 ships.
Again, either they didn't properly support the action, or it wasn't that big of an action to begin with.
I'm just saying ample supply. We're going to give you ample supply.
But not really. Next point.
Also, I put out, technically that was my last note, because I realized my note after that is one that I read earlier already to one of your points.
I just got plenty of points to go. Just love the Imperial Marines take a good look at the situation. Saw that Lunenburg was dead, and then he peaced out. I was like, is he dead? He dead. Bye. And he's left.
Well, yeah, I mean, that was the whole point, though.
Yeah. Just like, what the fuck? Oh, then Lunenburg did kill 2 other people getting in, so, yeah.
Well, no, I mean, the point was to transport Lunenburg there, because that's what Muckenberger had the conversation with him about previously. They're after one man, then I can't be having all this shit happening across the fleet. Like, this is bad for morale. Hearing them on the airwaves constantly mocking us and everything.
Yeah.
That's clearly only happening because they're coming after you.
You would back up. If it was bad for morale, you would think the other Marines would back up Lunenburg. So Lunenburg, Lunenburg
is a 2-time defector. That's not going to happen. That's like the guys in the area you were just talking about, not giving Rittenhousing shit. They're only giving them shit, really, because they're defectors themselves as well. Nobody likes a defector.
No, nobody trusts a defector. For obvious reasons. They defected.
You say that, but we have evidence of some pretty successful defectors.
True. Also, we have evidence of people who are double and triple agents as well, so, yeah.
Yeah, I'm talking about the Bruce Ashby stuff. The Tuesday correspondence.
My next note, going back to the whole Lunenburg thing.
You can stop saying my next note, because, again, all the notes are going to be yours from now on.
I find that it's a bit of a contrivance how Lunenburg died. He simply was discarded because of what his wife did, which makes his death a bit unsatisfactory. And while the discussion of what was really going on with the 6th Battle of Isilon is dramatic, it is still largely an info dump to essentially that essentially amounted to a sideshow with little to do with the actual events or Reinhardt's position. Essentially, the problem resolved itself, realistic at least in universe, but a bit flat overall.
He didn't get killed because of what his wife did. He just added that on at the end of the sentence, and now he'll never find out what his wife did. That his wife is guilty of killing her brother. He's being sent off because of, I created the morale thing. I don't know if that's actually a thing or not. But he's like, they're calling out for you, and I'm not going to stick my neck out to defend one guy, so you go out there and do whatever the fuck. It's not because his wife killed her brother. He just throws that on. Now he'll never find out. And that's why when we were talking, it's like, wait, did he just say?
Well, I think it's also the fact that if he dies in combat, then the whole thing can get swept away. No, she went crazy. He died in combat. That's the end of that.
I mean,
We can
technically, it
move
doesn't
on.
get swept under the rug because she's still alive.
In prison.
We assume, like, literally, it never gets covered.
I think
For all we know,
even
she winds up on a transport and defects. Everyone fucking defects. If a little girl in a sleep pod can find her way to the Alliance, why can't a grown-ass woman?
I think they're gonna attribute her to being hysteric.
I'm just saying, we don't
And-
know what characters come from Gaiden to the main show. I would be surprised, but also equally not surprised if Elizabeth shows up somewhere. Like, oh shit, she's a psycho killer. Guys, don't trust her. Guys, we know who that is.
Of course, the whole thing existed simply to show the real power Grimmenhausen had in life. And now it is contained in his not so little black book. Even if Reinhard did intend to blackmail with power, did not intend to blackmail his way to power. It was still giving him an enormous amount of intel on who are. That alone would make it, the book, at least in the short run, a powerful instrument to his rise to power.
Just clarification. Grimmelshausen isn't dead.
He's dying.
Well, everyone's dying.
Yeah, but he's like severe pneumonia, and
Well, he's in a pneumonia. He has a pneumonia, but we haven't like heard anything about it again. Like, they keep asking, oh, he's dead. And like, no, he's not dead. Stop asking. He's weak due to his age, and the ammonia is worse because he's weak due to his age. But he's not dead. I mean, I suspect any day now we're going to learn that he's died. But he's not dead. Stop writing the man off.
I don't know.
No, I mean, literally, this is like prime opportunity. The man has been harnessing his ability to look like an idiot to get information from people that is blackmail material. I have to say, on your deathbed is probably when people are giving you the shit that they don't want anybody else to know. This is prime opportunity for him to get even more intel.
And it's a combination of the fact that he's close to the Emperor and that he appears to be a senile old man. Nobody,
Oh, no. For his whole life, he said everyone regarded me as an idiot. So it's not that he's a senile old man. It's that he's always been this guy. I guess except to the Emperor. So I don't know how you get to be, well, maybe he's just close friends from childhood. Maybe he's the Kurt Chase of the Emperor.
Yeah, could have been, yeah. And he deliberately took on that role. Like, oh, everybody thinks I'm an idiot? Well, I guess I won't prove them wrong. In essence, Reinhard told Kessler who he was and what his ultimate was, something that perhaps Grimmelhausen suspected himself.
I don't know. Obviously, Kessler has to be somebody in the main show.
Yeah.
He literally says, I'll call you back. It's like, okay, my problem here is I remember a couple of the names that we've seen in the show from Die Thesis. So I know some of these people come back. And
Kessler's not one of them.
What's that?
Kessler's not one of them.
Well, yeah, I guess I'll admit, Kessler, I don't remember. Look, I told you before when we were doing the Dino Thesis, and I was making a board for it, it was already well over 100 characters. It's no way I'm going to remember everybody. Some of these names I do remember, though. And the element I have a problem with last episode is that they were doing the Origin. Remember the last Origin episode where they just kind of, and by the way, here's somebody you didn't see before. One of those. Yeah. Characters showed up in this episode that we have not seen the entire run of Gaiden so far. And they're like, by the way, this person's 27 years old right now. And I'm like, why? And those were the people that I remember. So it's like, you're not introducing them in an organic way to like, this is how they met Reinhardt for the first time, or this is what they were doing during that battle. It's just like, By the way, here's two guys. This one's 27, that one's 28. Moving on to the next thing.
Yeah. For no reason whatsoever, these two guys exist.
I mean,
Next.
you're telling me that they were at the 6th Battle of Iserlohn. Fair enough, but you could do it organically. The same way that everybody else is being shown. I was like, there's another thing that I brought up, and I was very confused when it came back as like a flashback. But there's a character.
About that.
Say what?
I have a note about a flashback. Yeah.
Well, I don't. It's probably not this one. I'd be surprised if it was. Also, because I think it's already happened in previous episodes. You didn't take notes for it. A character gets mentioned twice. Once you actually see them in like a flashback, and in another one, just name drop. And for the life of me, I could have sworn that we've seen him in Gaiden already. But I checked, and apparently we haven't. I didn't add him to the board yet for that specific reason. And I know them from New These, so that's my problem there. They get introduced real early in New These. Apparently not here. But that's my surprise, is they haven't introduced them here at all. And I'm like, in the timeline, would he even know this person yet, based on what I know from the other thing? And it's like, I don't think so. Where is this coming from? And that's my confusion here, that this episode has been really weird about just introducing characters, and this one very specifically, and hopefully the audience knows who I'm talking about, because I'm trying desperately not to spoil for you by giving you any clue whatsoever. How this person could be appearing in Gaiden as a flashback, and well, as a flashback doesn't make any goddamn sense either, and as a reference based on what date this is right now. So,
well, talking about flashbacks, clearly we, and by we I mean me, missed something, since I don't remember when or where Yang's flashback comes from. There's a kid saying, captain should behave, you should behave like a captain, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, who the hell is this kid? Where the hell does this kid come from? Who the fuck are you, kid? What the hell are you talking about?
Oh, I'll give the game away again. That's who I'm talking about. That kid.
Yeah.
That's where my confusion lies. That kid should not be here yet, unless I'm really, really misremembering shit. But also, I said that during the episode. Oh, that's right. I guess we have met him. Because otherwise, I'm like, what the fuck? Why is he here? He should not be referenced at all. But then again, this might be a change between New These and this. Maybe New These, he gets introduced later or something, and in the original, he was introduced. Or I guess if they're introducing the fact that he's there, that he was just always there?
Anywho, leave that to the comment section. Please don't spoil. Which I guess would be very hard if you actually give us a name or location or date.
Like I said, I didn't add him to the board, so you don't even know who it is. Like, and I've been vague as fuck. I would be surprised if you could pull out any detail about them from what I've said.
My next note. Now that we have both Reinhard and Yang in the picture at the same time, we can see in stark contrast their personalities. Reinhard is driven by pure ambition to rise to the pinnacle of power to overturn a system he sees as deeply broken and unfair. Yang is consumed by an extreme apathy in the face of a galaxy far too big for any one individual to affect in any meaningful way. Yet, no matter how brilliantly Reinhard performs, the universe reminds him that there are things that exist beyond his control, and Yang intervenes and does make impactful changes, even if they get cancelled by the large picture.
Again, I'd point out that when I was talking about how Reinhardt was talking about Iserlohn and people having a misconception about its purpose or its usefulness there, my counter to that was Yang saying that they could defeat the Empire without regarding Iserlohn at all. So it's not apathy. I don't think you can have apathy and then also be planning to take down an entire empire.
Well, I think it's for Yang, it's more like, because the way we know what happened, Yang fell into this situation because he had no other option. Wanted to study history, wanted to be a civilian, but it's like, this is the only path I have forward, right? My dad was heavily in debt. I have no family, etc. So he was like, I'm just here for the ride. Really, I mean, he's literally the kind of guy who's like, yeah, I joined, right? That's why I joined the army, right? That's his thing. So he is apathetic to the greater thing, but it's like slowly but surely, like, but on the other hand, he sees the situations more like as intellectual curiosity. Like, well, I mean, not really. I mean, I don't want people to die, but oh, this is like an interesting puzzle to solve. Let's see what my thoughts are, right? And slowly, but she was like, well, maybe if we do implement this, this might work, right? That seems to be his sort of point of engagement. Like either he gets the end of the job nobody wants, like, okay, I just have to follow orders and my best, or it's like, this is like a puzzle I could solve. Let me try my hand at that.
Yeah, I think the
I don't know if
problem
it's
is that
enough.
apathy might just be the wrong word.
What word would you use then?
I don't know. My interpretation of what apathy was may have been wrong, so I was Googling it real quick. And characterized by a lack of motivation, interest, or emotional responsiveness, often described as an indifference or a persistent state of not caring. And the problem is that I don't think Yang falls into the category of not caring. I think he cares. He's invested and he cares, but he does fall under the lack of motivation, interest, or emotion. Well, I don't know about the emotional responsiveness. I think he might just have retching. He might have
Wretched.
resting, uncaring face. But I think he does care. So from that aspect, I don't think he falls into half, or say a fourth, of what the definition of apathy is. He like I said, I can be lazy. I can be so fucking lazy, but I still care about the stuff I'm being lazy about. That makes me not apathetic. That just makes me lazy. So maybe Yang is lazy? I don't know. Like I said, I'm not trying to define the word that he is. I just don't think apathetic is the term I would use for him, because he does care. The element that I'm saying he's trying to take down an empire implies that he cares. The fact he's making plans to save people implies that he cares. It's just the element that he's also leaning against walls, putting his feet up and everything, is the lack of motivation or, again, not interest. So, yeah, it's about half of the definition of the word he doesn't apply to. Maybe he's just lazy. I don't know that he's lazy either.
I mean, he seems, well, I guess
Do you
it's,
call a sloth lazy?
no.
A sloth
I think
does what it needs to
it's
do at the
lazy,
speed
but
that's made
he's
to do it.
lazy, but brilliant kind of situation. He is very, he can see things other people can't see. He actually can formulate plans that work. Like, yeah, that's going on. But everybody's like, oh, what's going on? He's like, yeah, that might be a problem. Let's see what I can do about it. Right.
I would say
And
that
then
if
write
you
these
were to make
notes.
a character that was apathetic in Yang's position, it would be the guy who's watching people die and be like, I don't fucking care. And then somebody makes him come up with a plan. That would be the apathetic Yang, and that's the opposite of the Yang that we've got.
I got to find another word for my boy Yang.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not like trying to like fight with you over a thesaurus. It's just
No, I mean, you want to be accurate about it. I understand that.
yeah. It's just I didn't think apathy, and like I said, I had to check because I thought maybe I lean more towards apathy in the caring aspect, not so much the motivation aspect. That wasn't even in my head.
Yeah. To next, to wit, Castle's new. I don't this thing. Statement that, but no matter how talented a person is, if he doesn't have the rank or the authority, he can't put his talents to good use. Which applies to both of them, Yang and Reinhard, right? They show brilliance, but brilliance is measured in, as I have another note about it. I'll talk about that brilliance later.
I mean, brilliance is measured in success, is what I figure you're about to say.
Not really. Because my final note is never underestimate the psychological angle of battle. It also shows that a leader's brilliance can only be matched by their opponent's stupidity. In other words, if you're brilliant and they're brilliant, it cancels each other out. But you're brilliant and they're stupid, then you win because you outsmarted the other person, right? And this seems to be the example. It's like, oh, every time Yang or Reinhardt succeed is because the other side is like, blah, 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 blah. They're like, oh, we don't see it. And like they just do it. And it's like, oh, we're getting run over. Oh no, especially with Reinhardt, right?
I mean, I don't think matching brilliance has anything to do with it. It's resources and availability. If you're like the smartest man on earth and you don't have any ability to stop what's coming your way, Like, there's got to be situations even MacGyver can't craft his way through, right? So, it's all about situation as well as intelligence. I thought you were saying measured before. What's the measure of brilliance? And that measure of brilliance has to be success, because no one's going to call you brilliant if you fail all the time. Even though technically you will learn by failure. Nobody wants the smartest loser on their side.
Yeah, failure is a harshest mistress.
Right, but I'm just saying that if all you do is lose in life, and you go to the grave a constant loser, no one's going to call you the smartest man on earth. Well, I'm pretty sure someone might. That might be the most creative eulogy that will ever be given. This man was the smartest man on earth, because only by losing do we learn. And this man learned constantly.
Yeah.
Gotta keep that in notes. That's gonna be the epithet for Reinhardt.
Well then, I am
or at
done
least a
with
battlefield funeral. I don't know, something. Never gonna write the book, but I'm desperately thinking about it.
That would be the end of my note.
All right, well, nothing left to do but hop on in and see what the new arc gives us with the third battle of Tiamat.
But before we get started,
make sure that you hit the like button,
hit that subscribe button,
comment down below to feed that algorithm.
On top of all that, if you want to watch more shows like this,
unfiltered,
uncensored,
and uncut,
as well as some early access stuff,
you can check it out over on the Patreon.
It's just $5 a month, but hey, no pressure.
There's zero pressure in order to do that. It's just a little bit of extra support, and it would be greatly appreciated.
You always have to talk over this part, so what can we say about it? Oh, there's
still the Star Trek Voyager theme at the very beginning.
Yeah. I mean, it's very similar, yeah.
Oh, no, not Voyager. Sorry, Deep Space Nine.
Deep Space Nine.
I think we already did that joke. I literally did the Deep Space Nine itself going across the screen on it. But yeah, no, obviously this would, of course, have to be still the same opening, because I think we're still in season 1 of Gaiden.
Yeah.
We've gone back and forth between the seasons throughout this. That's why the first thing we watched was, I can't remember the name of the arc. It was the Tuesday Correspondence. Spiral Labyrinth? Was that what it's called?
Yeah.
That was the first arc of season 2, which is why that one had a different opening.
Which is weird, because literally we were in season 2 last week, and they said the next episode, it's this. I'm like,
no, I've said that before. That was, well, maybe I'm wrong then. No, because we were in season 1 last week.
No, there was a different. Remember
no, I'm saying that maybe I'm wrong, that this is season 2 then.
Yeah.
Because it would have to be if this is a different opening.
Remember, I was making the joke about, the kid, Kirschai's running like this. He's
yeah,
like,
no, that's what I'm saying.
That.
Yeah. I thought both openings start with the galaxy thing.
Yeah.
So that's why I was confused. I thought that was going to be this one. And then I'm talking about it, and then it's like, oh, we're going, the ship's going by. And it's like, wait, this is a different opening.
As would behooved the Legends of Galactic Heroes.
But that's what I was talking about before, about how I appreciate that every next time on isn't for the actual next episode typically, or I mean, when the arcs end. They go to the next arc regardless of where they fall in the timeline of events. By the way, this is only a 2-parter. As per what we heard last episode, I'll never understand the purpose of the monocle.
Oh, so his Royal Highness is having some problems, huh? Those are massive shoulder pads.
Yeah, I mean, they actually got on board this. No, they didn't. I got confused for a second.
was
Reinhard had to fight that guy on the station. I was like, oh, they were on the station.
Yeah.
It's like, no, just Reinhard fighting the guy.
ここいらで反乱軍に手痛い報復をくれてやり、我らも実績を上げねばならぬ時期に来ておるということだ。
I mean, getting a foothold would be pretty good. That'd be really good. Building another Isolon fortress.
I mean, yeah,
Oh, the
building a series of
Alliance
fortress
side.
deeper. Yeah. Oh.
Or maybe we attach engines to it. Make it a mobile.
And slam it into Iceland, yeah.
No, I'm in the Empire side. Why would I slam anything onto our own fortress? Yeah, he did say surely I'd be before the Vice Admiral. Car covered in listening devices.
Yeah. And the driver going like, interesting.
Damn you, pheasant. Man, how important was that fucking guy?
近辺の政区から民間船が100隻ほど雇われて物資の運搬に当たることになった。
当然護衛はつけます。巡航艦と駆逐艦合わせて10隻の護衛を手配しました。
それは良いが、海戦を前にして貴重な軍用艦艇をみすみす敵軍の餌食にせぬようくれぐれも。
Man, Lobos really fucked me up. Because he's essentially just fat Bocock. I say, if we see Bocock again, I'm gonna be messed up because like, is that Lobos?
船長、護衛の軍艦が次々に引き返していきます。
だから軍人というやつはどしがたいのだ。軍隊とは民間人を守るために存在するのではないか。それを自らの安全を理由として護衛をやめるとは本末転倒もいいところだ。
どうします？我々も引き返しますか？
我々は誇りある商人だ。請け負った仕事には責任を持つ。軍人どもとは心意気が違う。
He's capitalism.
それでも一隻だけ巡航艦が残っていた。それはグランドカナルという名の巡航艦だった。他の両艦がロボス元帥の訓令に過剰に反応して離脱した後、ただ一隻律儀に最初の命令を守って民間船に同行したのである。
I love all the 70s to 80s stashes.
獲物を求めるかのように徘徊していた帝国軍の巡航艦に遭遇してしまった。戦闘力の拮抗する巡航艦同士である。
Wait, were those fucking shields? Have we had
Oh, there's
shields the
shields.
entire time?
Oh yeah, there's always been shields. It's just that they don't last too long.
Or at all, because we've seen so many ships just go up in one hit.
Like that.
民間船1隻が破壊され、1隻が捕獲されたものの、他の半数は目的地に到着し、残る半数も安全中域まで逃げ延びることができた。グランドカナルが救ったのは民間人の生命だけでなく同盟軍の名誉もであった。軍はフェーガン艦長以下の全戦死者に自由戦士勲章を送り、その功を称えた。彼らの功績を美談としてクローズアップすることで、護衛任務を放棄した他の艦や訓令を出した司令部への批判をかわそうという意図があったことは否めない。
ポーランド提督、今回のグランドカナル事件についてどう思われますか？司令部が護衛の艦を惜しんだの
I'll say
I like the Empire,
halfway
you have a free press.
into the second episode, I actually thought this guy had died until he was referenced in the third episode.
一艦でも多くの艦を揃えるため、その前の小競り合いで消耗するわけにはいかない。一隻の犠牲で他の9隻が無傷で済んだのだから、ロボス元帥閣下の訓令は的を射たものだったと言える。
彼らの犠牲は無駄ではないと。
当然だ。前線に物資も行き渡り、軍の士気も上がった。予想される帝国軍の侵略を許さず、逆に同盟の勢力を伸長させる。それが戦死した乗組員の。
Sorry, how did it expand Alliance territory?
第11艦隊も動員されるようですが、初めて1個艦隊を指揮する今のお気持ちは？
Pretty rough for a 32-year-old. Oh, never mind. He looks worse in the pan back.
光栄なことだ。今回アッシュビー元帥の孤児に習い、ティアマト聖域で帝国軍を迎え撃ち、私の戦略で完膚なきまでに叩きのめしてくれる。
That sounds like he's gonna fail.
I mean, in hindsight, Bruce Ashby does look better and better as time goes on.
民間人を救ったという意味で、かつてのエルファシルの英雄と同じだと思うのですが、彼らへの今日の勲章の授与どう思われますか？
グランドカナルには100個の勲章より一隻の味方が必要だったと思いますよ。取材は正規の窓口を通すように。それ以外のコメントは記事にしないこと。さあ、準将閣下はこちらへ。
この前年
Not quite censorship like in the Empire, but certainly media manipulation. We're not gonna not tell you to ask questions. That's fine. We're just not gonna tell you the truth.
We covered this before, back when he originally got his double promotion. He had that guy assigned to him very specifically about what to talk to the media about.
I do like the fact that the buildings in the Alliance look more futuristic than the ones that deliberately in the in the Empire, because they're being politically conservative.
だが最終的にロボス元帥の決定を促したのはホーランドが口にしたブルース・アッシュビー元帥の大勝利を再現するという言葉だったかもしれない。投入される艦隊は5個艦隊、ホーランドの第11艦隊の他にはシュトレ元帥の意向によってビュコック中将の第5艦隊とウランフ中将の第10艦隊が設置。
He also looks like an older Lobos too.
予算処置が折り次第、パストーレ中将の第4艦隊とムーア中将の第6艦隊が
Fourth Fleet Admiral Pastore.
一方、その頃すでに帝国軍はイゼルノン要塞に達し最終的補給を受けていた。
聞いたかキルヒアイス。要塞司令官のシュトックハウゼンと要塞中流艦隊司令官のゼークトがまた角を突き合わせたそうだ。
What's with the gossip, dude?
それも今度は総司令官の前でだそうだ。それでミュッケンベルガーが仲裁役をせねばならなかったらしい。いかに堂々と双方をなだめたか、こいつは見ものだったな。
ラインハルト様もお人が悪い。
そう言うな。ところで何か用か？
そのミュッケンベルガー元帥の機関でそろそろ会議が始まります。ご用意ください。
ああ、そうだったな。
お忘れでしたか？
忘れてはいないさ。忘れたかっただけだ。まだまだ他人に呼びつけ
I guess he got promoted enough, now he's getting invited to the meetings.
ラインハルト様。ダゴン聖域で無能者のヘルベルト大公が惨敗して以来、幾度戦いがあったと思う？
さあ。
小競り合いを含めて329回だ。150
Well, that's a lot of battle.
329回。よく飽きもせず繰り返したものだ。
決着がつきませんでしたから。
同盟軍、いや、反乱軍の奴らは戦略を知らんのだ。
Yeah, don't call them the Alliance.
イゼルロン要塞を無力化する方法があるものを。
Calling them by their name gives them an air of legitimacy.
I
mean, the whole point that the Empire keeps fighting this war is because they cannot allow this, because that would prove the Empire wrong.
だからこそ帝国にとっては要塞を建設した意味がありましょ
う。違いないな。
それにしてもそろそろお時間です。シャトルの用意は整って、ノルデン少将もお待ちですが。
出たくない。
ノルデン。
どうせ出たところで意見を求められるでもない。無視や悪意には慣れているが、不毛な時間を一人で過ごすのはやりきれない。キルヒアイス、せめてお前が一緒ならまだしも、同席するのがあの参謀長ではな。
ノルデン少将はお嫌いですか？
好き嫌いの問題ではない。奴は使えない。
32歳で少将です。そうとばかりも言えますまい。
So the element that he always keep bringing up how old people are.
Yeah. I mean, to contrast the fact that he is 18 and already a vice admiral, right?
Yeah, but I mean, it's constant. It's constantly how old people are. It's not, oh, he's an aristocrat or he's a lowborn. He's 17. He's 45.
俺が出席すれば出席者の平均年齢が下がる。それだけがまあ取り柄だな。
敵の降伏を認めず完全に撃滅し、もって皇帝陛下の栄誉を知らしむること。これが今回の目的である。
そんなものが目的か。どのような戦略上の課題を満足させるために数万隻の艦隊を動かし、数百万の兵士を
That's what I said before. No clear objectives, just the death count isn't high enough yet.
課題を戦術レベルに限定してもっともらしく討議したところで何の益がある。こいつらは戦争ごっこをやっているだけなのだ。自由惑星同盟などと称する反乱軍の輩と似合いの好敵手と言うべきだろう。
You know, but it's a good thing that Reinhard does admit that they're assumption that they're in fact a sovereign government and were the enemies, right? Even he calls them idiots, right?
いや、これは過大評価だろう。全力を挙げてもこの程度なのに違いない。
ミューゼル中将、何か思うところがあるのか。
Remember, Muckenberger didn't like that. He thought Reinhardt thought he was smarter than him.
元帥閣下のご遠謀は召喚ごとき若輩の考え及ぶところではございません。
では他に意見もないようだし、戦勝の前祝いとして酒を分け、陛下の栄光と帝国の隆盛を敬羅とともに祈ること。
Martin saying, "Yeah, I don't have any ideas. A bunch of morons. Everybody get drunk. We're gonna win. You should get drunk after you win it, jackass."
To be fair, there's going to be plenty of time between here and the actual combat. They're not like getting drunk and I was like, let's go! Prosit?
皇帝陛下の御ために。皇帝陛下の御ために。
He can barely say the words.
Sorry, the people in the back aren't actually drinking. This is going like this in a freeze frame. So I said prosit because that's what they did all throughout Die New Thesis. Take a drink, slam the glass on the ground. Prosit!
当然ではないか。
We upgraded to flat screens.
我が艦隊の行動に無用な精忠をしていただきたくないのです。無理に他の艦隊との連携を求めれば、我が艦隊の長所を殺し、敵を利するのみ。戦略上の選択を自ら狭めることとなりましょう。
This guy's arrogant.
最初から戦略レベルでの選択の余地はないのじゃよ。敵が攻めてくる我々は防ぐ。ダゴン聖域海戦がそうだったように。 決戦場を有利に選定するのがせいぜいだ。
防ぐだけで閣下はご満足なのですか？
機関はそうは思わんのかね？
当然です。来航する敵をいくら追い払っても、先制政治の源泉が存在する限り、脅威は永遠に続きます。
Well, remember that Bocac also served with Bruce Ashby back in the day. Although he was just a gunner back then, so...
だが我々にはイゼルローン要塞を攻略する力すらないではないか。まして1万光年を遠征して帝国の中枢部を侵すなど到底かなわぬことだ。
今まではそうでした。召喚は美国閣下の経験と実績を
Feels like they're addressing my point about the raiding parties thing.
経験と実績を。
閣下。
Oh, this guy's arrogant. He's gonna die horribly. Or worse, be defeated.
Oh, that's the idiocy of my face blindness. I didn't recognize that was Admiral Holland.
その日のうちに帝国軍もティアマト聖域に進出してきた。
敵艦隊確認。距離11光秒。
おいえる。
Do love a good cape.
独創性のかけらもない陣形から独創性のかけらもない戦闘が生み出されている。意味のない戦いだが、せめて俺に全軍の指揮権があれば必ず干渉してみせてやるのにな。ラインハルト様。気にするな、キルヒアイス。他人の戦いを後ろから見るのも一興だ。それに考えようによっては望ましい形かもしれん。最前列に押し出されるより後方にいる方が戦力の。
I mean, you better hope that one day, if you do get command of all the fleets, you don't fucking fall on your face, because
yeah,
you've been building up to it this whole time.
いや、ミュッケンベルガーのやり方はいつも同じだ。 グリンメルスハウゼン艦隊は当てにせず棚上げしたのと同様、俺の艦隊も因数外のつもりなのだろう。だが元帥の思惑はともかく、俺たちが戦局において決定的な役割を果たす局面も来るやもしれん。
それには敵にもせいぜい前線してもらえませんといけませんね。
そうだな、その方が引き立つ。著しい武勲を挙げれば次は大将だ。そうなれば戦略的な意義などないこの海戦だが、俺たちにとっての政略的意義は大きいということになる。
You know, considering how autocratic the Empire is, you would think they have things like political office in their ships, just to make sure that their admirals and captains are not, you know, on pure thought.
I guess we've never seen one of those before.
Okay, this guy's full of it.
I mean, he came up with a previous plan that almost worked at Isolon. So I said, they ram into each other when their engines work.
敵将が誰かは知らんが、理論を無視することが奇策だと思っているらしいな。それにかき回されている方も情けない限りだが。
おっしゃる通りです。ただあの艦隊運動は芸術的ですね。
芸術とは非生産的なものだな。動きの秩序のなさを見るがいい。エネルギーを浪費するために動き回っているようだ。
独創的には違いありませんが。
I mean, it's called the art of war, not the science of war.
Well, no, the book is called The Art of War. I'm pretty sure the Academy isn't teaching the art of war, it's teaching the science of war. Tactical theories and whatnot.
さながらアメーバのように自在に四方に動き回り、意表をついて通撃を加えていきます。なかなか非凡と言わざるを得ません。
下には下がある。無能者どもが。思いもかけのところを通打されたからといって何ほどのことがある。中枢部を直撃されたわけではないぞ。
無能とおっしゃいますが、彼らは
Dude is not reacting at all to the hate in Reinhard's eyes right now.
翻って我が艦隊は味方の苦戦を傍観しておりますが、閣下のお考えは。
敵軍の動きを見るに速度と躍動性には優れているが、他の艦隊との連携を欠き、また補給線が伸びるのを無視しているのが明らかだ。つまりその意図は極端な短期決戦であって、傭兵の基本を無視した動きによって我が軍の混乱を誘い、それにつけ込んで出血を増大せしむるにある。だとすれば我が軍は無用な交戦を避け、敵が前進すれば同じだけ後退し、敵がエネルギーを使い果たした時点で反攻に移るべきだ。故に現時点では応戦する必要はない。
I mean, obviously, if you know that the supply lines are taxed and they have no backup, then prolong the fight as long as possible.
ほう、いつのことです。1年後ですか、それとも100年後ですかな。
Yeah, this guy is smug.
Even before I punch you in the face. He's not used to be questioned like that, is he? Oh my god. Please praise me?
I mean, they've got a relationship that lasts a long time. He's been asking a stranger to do it.
その時思い切り勝ち誇っておやりなさい。
そうしよう。だがキルヒアイス、いざ俺が勝ち誇るとお前は言うのさ。彼らは自分たちの誤りを知って恥じているのだから、許しておあげくださいとな。
I imagine he's gonna say that somewhere down the road.
Oh, okay.
お前は姉上と俺だけに優しければいいんだ。他のやつにそんな態度をとってやる必要はないんだぞ。
Yeah, that's not romantic whatsoever.
Why are you acting like you're surprised? Also, it might not be romantic.
Well,
despite the jokes I've made literally about this ending before.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, it could just be a different era.
Oh, definitely is.
Yeah, listen, you know, the further back in time you go, the more touchy men get with one another.
True, true. But this, I mean, so far, this is not the kind of thing that we have, you know.
Yeah, not since the last time we saw them both shirtless on a couch together.
True enough.
I'm just saying, if you never change... Yes, we did. What do you mean? How do you go from true enough to... Did we ever see that?
Like...
Literally within a minute, you're like, yeah, that happened. Did that happen? I think it's the same thing I brought up in all of our arguments before, how you always accept and then question, rather than just go to question.
I mean, it would seem like they would do that, but...
They did as children.
I'm like, oh, well, they're kids. Come on.
Like I said, if you just put Reinhardt behind Kurtzis, and I don't mean like obviously behind him, I just mean like if you put Kurtzis' animation in front of Reinhardt.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I know. What are you trying to say? Yeah.
Look, I'm down for it. If they want to be a couple, they can be a couple. I'm not like mocking them. It's just funny to see in an animation them doing that like right at the end. It just, the oddity for me is more so that they're like setting up Kurtzis and the sister, and then constantly also implying, but you know,
yeah,
you ever change your mind? Now praise me.
Yeah.
かつてブルース・アッシュビーが英雄となったティアマト聖域に再び戦いの風が吹いた。永遠に繰り返されるかに思われた不毛な戦いの歴史における意味とは何か。時代は新たな英雄を求めている。次回銀河英雄伝説外伝第3次ティアマト海戦後編。そして壮大なる女子誌の幕が上がる。
Time is seeking a new hero.
Oh, the writers.
No, that's what they said in the subtitles.
I know. See, this is, yeah, double check. I mean, not much really happened in this episode, if you think about it. There was a fight, but then the fights in these, at least in Gaiden, they were not that exciting. So it's like, okay, we found the enemy. We're shooting at each other. Ships blow up in puffs of smoke. Reinhard complains that everybody's an idiot but him.
I mean, yeah, I guess it was mostly set up for what's to come, I guess, in this next episode, but also the element of what's going on with the Emperor. Yang's misquote to the media. Holland not as good as he seems to be.
Yeah. I mean, I think Don not misquote. What he did basically was, shall we say, he went off script. He told the truth, which you're not supposed to do that because, you know, everybody's supposed to be present the same image, that the Alliance military is there to protect the Alliance. And I think it's one of the things that not finding out, from the very beginning we were told, is essentially because of the war itself, the Alliance military is sort of self-justifying itself, right? We exist because there's a threat. The threat justifies that we exist. So you have to accept what we do because without us, you're going to die. So all things, ultimately what the Alliance military is doing, especially the public, is just justifying its existence, right? As opposed to actually winning battles, right? If the Empire is prosecuting this war because they cannot admit they're wrong, because that would, you know, make the Empire, not psychologically, but ideologically vulnerable, that there's an option outside their supposedly perfect world. In the Alliance, it seems, especially the military, is fighting this war less to win it. Like this guy's like, oh, we're gonna invade, the empire, whatever. We're not gonna do that, but rather simply because as long as the war continues, they can justify their existence, right? And here's Yang saying, listen, we can actually win if you actually fight correctly. You gotta the truth. You gotta say the truth, even if it hurts our position slightly, because it actually should lead to the things that we actually be doing, and people have the right to know that, right?
I mean, I guess we'd have to see that though. And ironically, it seems odd that we wouldn't have seen it already, given how much backstory we've got with the political situation in the alliance. In I keep wanting to say the Tuesday correspondence, but when we covered Bruce Ashby's backstory,
yeah,
and his launch to rise from military success to political success.
Yang itself covered it up, and also the fears that if Bruce Ashby,
yeah, but I don't mean publicly. I mean what we, the viewer, know. Yang covering it up, I mean, it means nothing to us. We're just talking about what we know from what we've seen.
I mean, I was going to say something, and I drew a blank. Hate when that happens. But even then, I mean, Bruce Ashby, what was his recommendation? Oh, let's not build a fortress here that could protect us from the enemy and make our defense cheaper. No, build more ships, because I'm an admiral who's known to going out and fighting the enemy, right? In a way, he kind of was justifying his position, right? Oh, hey, give me more ships so I can fight the enemy more. I'm not really going to win. There's no long-term plan to bring the the empire to heal in such a way that the war ends, because as long as the war continues, right? I mean, even the other guy says, like, well, we can't invade the empire. It's 10,000 light years away. It's like, well, they got to find a way to end a 150-year war, right? It comes to a point where both sides are fighting for fighting's sake, right? Which
to be
I think is a
fair,
criticism
the
of
empire was building a fortress and they were building a massive fleet. If they had built their fleet before the fortress was complete, then the fleet would have been the smart move.
Maybe. I mean, but considerably, the empire also has a massive fleet, so numbers alone are not enough.
No, it seems like they've been fighting themselves to standstills on either side, and that's been the thing.
Yeah.
So if they had built a massive fleet, the resource equivalent of Iserlon, they would have had more ships. And presumably they could have gotten past where the space Iserlon was in before Iserlon was there.
But they didn't. So
I'm just saying, on the face of it, in the future, with hindsight, we could say that was a dumb move. But at the time, I don't think you could say that.
But
also, not for nothing, you'd have to say that you can hold the Iserlon corridor for the time it would take to build the thing. I know you can point out that the Empire did it, but we don't know how the Empire managed to do that either. Especially because it seems like they get into multiple battles of Iserlon, every 2 years it feels like.
Every year seems.
No,
every winter.
The 5th one was 2 years ago. This was the 6th one 2 years later, obviously. Obviously, there might have been more, but we didn't call them the Battles of Iserlon because Fortress wasn't there. I don't know if we're naming it for the Fortress or the Corridor.
What's interesting, it seems that all the major battles, defensively, offensively, either in Tiamat battles or Iserlon, almost always happen in the fall to spring time. But summer seems to be one that doesn't have major fighting.
Technically, winter.
Winter, yeah.
You said fall to spring. Literally, this happened in November, December.
No, November could still be fall.
Well, technically, it's December, though. This is when the actual fighting happens.
Oh, that would be winter. Why winter? What is it about winter in space that makes a campaign season? Yeah, I don't know. Could be orbital timing, planets being in the right alignment, but I guess that doesn't work if ships can just jump and communicate faster than light. So, whatever the reason, I do not know it.
Yeah, I don't have a time of year for the 5th Battle of Iserlon. I just have 792 483 Imperial. They probably did list a month, but I didn't put it down.
So yeah, I could be conjuring a scenario that doesn't exist, right? Just because these battles were in the winter and the last battle was in the winter doesn't mean that all the battles are in the winter, right? And again, winter is kind of meaningless again in space. It doesn't matter.
I don't know. I mean, you could also just be conflating things that don't have
any meaning whatsoever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Distinct possibility.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're using how many points of data, Endless?
2, 3 at most.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, 2 points to make a line doesn't make them automatically connected. I think you need more data points. So I'm also just remembering that old Harmon Quest thing. Are they standing in a row? Well, there's 2 of them, so...
Yeah, always. No, it's all about the angle, really.
Well, that's why I can't remember that guy's name. He was a rogue. He wanted to run by and slice out their ankles with a knife. He's like, are they standing in a row? There's 2 of them, so...
Well, I mean, like I said, it all depends on the angle, right?
Well, anything else?
Nope, no, that I can think of.
All right, well, that's going to be it for half of our recording today. So once again, I have been Theta. This has been Lessons. We've been Stoneface Reactions, and we will catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another Stoneface Reactions. If you have an idea of another video we could go ahead and watch, go ahead and put it in the comments down below and we'll add it to the wheel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe and let us know what you thought about this video, what parts you liked. And until then, we'll see you next time. Is this too goofy?